So how good is like Hawthorne Village trains? This is going to be my opinion about them. They've been around a long time. The one that just went by I've had since the end of the 90s, early 2000s. I have one more. And of course, the train's acting up since I'm filming. But anyway, you may have seen the ads for them. And this is going to be kind of like how good they are and should you get them or not. Turn the sound off so you don't hear the locomotive in the background, but Hawthorne Village has been offering trains for a really long time, and they're theme sets. And back in the day, you would, if you started collecting a set, you'd get like one a month. You'd get the first couple of cars pretty quick, like maybe one a month, and then the rest every 1 to 3 months, maybe. I don't remember. But back then, you could actually order the whole train at one time for like $200 or $300. And that was actually the way to go, because most of these cars each sold for like $70 or $80, or maybe a little bit more. So you could get the whole train for half of what you would get it in the subscription. And it would come with a controller and a bunch of track. Yeah, you'd get a bunch of track, not all of it at once. I had to fix the train real quick because it hit the railing for the stairs. Track was too close for this train. But over time you'd collect everything. Well, at some point in the 2000s they quit offering to be able to buy the whole train as one lump sum without having to get all the track and everything, because every time you buy one of those sets you would get another set of track basically. So these are made for Hawthorne Village, for my understanding, by Bachman. But if you call Bachman and try to talk about them, they kind of don't want to talk about them because they don't consider them these trains theirs. They consider it made for Hawthorne Village. So with that said, they're not you're paying for the paint job basically, because the quality of the trains are so. So the other train is a HO scale Marine Corps themed that came out in the early 2000s and was a gift to me for joining the Marine Corps Reserves. Once upon a time I was a M1A1 tank crewman and made it all the way up to tank commander in the reserves. And of course family was like, hey, that's cool, so they saw this and I ended up with this train. I'm actually storing this in a rifle case because it all fits. It's however you say that. It's upside down. I have 2 sets of ABs for this train. When you get this, it was DC. The B unit was an unpowered slug, and it had the same frame, and it's heavy as crap. I managed to get both of my Bs motorized, and all 4 of these have decoders, soundtracks. The original set is like earlies and heavy, and then the second set I got probably like 2020. But anyway, which I'll cover that in a sec. The second set had a board so I could drop in a 21 pin decoder, and I was able to do that. But to get the powered B unit, I had to find somebody selling the regular engine that matched the fuel tank screw pattern, because there's screws in the bottom of the fuel tank. And I'd find it on eBay, ask them a question, they'd look, tell me yay or nay. Took me about a couple of tries, and then I found somebody selling the right locomotive, got it, and it matched the newer locomotive. So I was able to drop in a 21 pin decoder. The original set, I had to hardwire in a regular decoder. And that set's early 2000s, and the A unit's been acting up. I've been having to swap out the trucks because gears are going bad. Back to Hawthorne Village. They contacted me before 2020 and hey, we got new cars for your Marine Corps train. Would you like to get them? And I was kind of hesitant at first because the train was here where I live, and I was 8,000 miles away, and I couldn't, verify what I was getting. That's how I ended up with the second pair of locomotives. They sent me another pair. They sent me some newer cars, but then they also sent me some duplicates. And I'm not sure. I never got any emails, but I may not have paid for the last car because them sending the same thing, and then I think I was fussing with them from email because it was too much of a pain to try to call them from overseas. They're pretty shady, or they can get pretty shady to sell these things. And like I said, they back in the day you could buy a whole train for $200 or $300, or you could spend the $70-80 per train and get the whole get it over time. But they discontinued that, brought it back, and then discontinued it, and then never brought it back as far as I know, because I didn't keep up with it as much. But so these are the two Hawthorne Village trains I have, and I'll kind of discuss a little bit more about quality and our how good they are. So between the two trains, I ended up with a lot of easy track, and then got more to do a shelf layout that ran around the top of the room. Not this room, it was a bedroom that I converted into a computer room. And the train was above the door, and I think it was still DCC. I think I talked about this in a previous video, but anyway, that's how I ended up with some more easy track, because there was a train store where I lived at the time, Savannah, Georgia, Bull Street Station, and I was getting easy track there, and made the train go around the room, because these two and some other trains I'll talk about here shortly came to where I was living, and I wanted to use them instead of having them just kind of sitting there. Newer sets are probably DCC ready. You can probably drop in a 21 pin decoder, but if you have an AB unit, your B unit's going to be unpowered, and you would have to hunt for the chassis to power it. That's kind of the easier way. You probably could go to the Bachman parts store and get the board, or you may be able to get a chassis and drop the shell on there. I was looking at doing that, but I wasn't sure it was going to fit or be able to attach all the way. I'm sure it would have fit, but like the screws on the bottom that hold the chassis in place, the hole pattern would have been off, because the early trains had one way, and then the newer trains have a different way. So I went with the eBay route I talked about earlier. So they nowadays, with as shady as Hawthorne Village has been, I would say they're probably worth steering clear unless you really want a theme train. But you may be able to find another theme train through another way, or like through Lionel or some other manufacturer that's making them. Obviously, that Hawthorne Village kind of has more themes available. Stuff from like NASCAR to NFL to sci-fi to whatever. They kind of have made a train, because I was actually interested in getting the one for, they had a Nightmare Before Christmas, but after the experiences I've had with it, I'll probably never get that train unless I happen to talk to them and they bring back where you can buy the whole train at once, because I don't need any more track, and I don't need the little power pack, and I don't want to pay way more than I have to, because A lot of these are like Thomas Kincaid painting type art on the side of them and stuff. Like, I can zoom in here and show you, like this stuff, or whoever the artist was. But this is older video of the Marine Corps train showing all the engines and all of the cars except for 3, which was a crane, passenger car. There are some Bachmann cars I added and painted. But you can you pause the video and see the art on the side of the cars. And then this was when I was starting to add all the flat cars with the equipment, like the 88 there. It's cool and all, but it's not quite worth it, because you do have to do some work on the cars to get them to work, because even the cars that come together, the coupler heights aren't don't really match as well and are pain in the butt to get to match. So how good is it? It's okay, but I wouldn't recommend buying it no anymore, not unless they change their practices. You can find this stuff on eBay, but people are wanting way too much for it. If you can find something you're looking for like make an offer, then I'd get on there and argue about it's lower quality Bachmann stuff made by Bachmann for Hawthorne Village, and Bachmann doesn't even want to recognize it for whatever reason. But you can make it work. It's just time and effort. When this train's not acting up, it runs actually pretty good since it's 0-30 scale. And then the Marine Corps train, which is HO scale, it runs pretty good when it's not acting up either. But that train's super huge. I'll have to put it together and make a quick video about it and what I did to it. So anyway, that's how this is my video on how good these Hawthorne Village trains are. So it's up to you if you really want to get one. Later.